The proof is in the pudding. This is just hilarious how I stumbled on this morning. Do you even know where that originated from? It's just very interesting. So the proof is in, originally it was called the proof of the pudding is in the eating, meaning you had to try the food to determine whether it was good or not, right? But since then, this saying has totally morphed to the proof is in the pudding. And then there was a little online debate that I read about that the proof is not in the pudding because it would be messy. It would be messy to have the proof in the pudding, if not completely silly to keep it there. So we use the proof is in the pudding to prove something. And if you go back to the origin, meaning you have to taste the pudding to know if it tastes good or not, it would make total sense that you have to determine whether the proof is in the pudding. And that is the tangent of the morning. The whole thing is that you don't need a new plan. You need proof that you can follow through with what you say you're going to do, with what you know you need to do. That's the essence of it all. So you just have to start. Because action is going to build your confidence. Thinking is not going to build your confidence. How can you taste whether the pudding is good or not if you don't make the pudding? And in the making the pudding is the trying of taking action. If that makes any sense to anybody, or it's just gone way off into what is she even talking about? We can bring it all back to the fact that we are building a beautiful business and a beautiful life through our mess. What does that mean? It means we have to have momentum to keep building something through the messes. The messes cause chaos. They cause confusion. They cause setbacks. Think about the current state you're in, like the current messy situation. It's temporary. It may not feel temporary, but it's temporary. You need to start taking action, building something. Not thinking, not overthinking, not writing about it every single day, but actually making a plan and starting. And while anybody can sit here and say, just start, and you could be sitting there saying, well, it's not that easy. I started and then I stopped. I started and I stopped, and I kept losing momentum. Because every time you start and stop, you're pausing. You're letting the energy kind of build up and then subside. And the momentum has to build more like stair steps than going the opposite direction. I have a total distraction this morning, and I've been sitting here in complete silence for an hour working, because part of what I'm doing is what you're doing, which is we've started something, we've built something, we stopped, we paused, we restarted. But this time it's starting and continuing forward. So it's just crazy how the universe works. I've been sitting here for over an hour working on things, my morning routine, my Bible study, preparing for this, building some things in Canva. And then the minute I press live, somebody walks in to use the space with the microwave. It is just incredible how you think things are conspiring against you because you've been through enough. You've been through enough messes. You've been through enough. You've devoted yourself to, starting now, starting over, and then something as simple as a little distraction gets in your way and totally throws you off course. So the next question might be like, okay, just start, right? It's simple, just start. Where do I start? And then I truly believe from the past 3 weeks that let's see, my podcast restarted about a month ago, right? So let's just say the past 30 days when I got serious and I said, I'm restarting, but I'm not stopping again. Okay. So is the start from ground zero, from nothing different than a restart? Maybe, because a restart, like you started a business, you started building something that you could monetize online, and then you didn't see it coming to fruition fast enough. You didn't feel momentum. Momentum is such a funny word because you can feel it, you can see it, and the only way to keep it going is to work on it, whatever it is, every single day, no matter how messy things get. Like, I'm here live, people are coming and going, I'm getting distracted, and there's no pause button. There's no pause button on the live. So what do I do? And I got totally flustered. I'm sure you could see that and feel it. But you have to keep going. You have to push through the uncomfortable and then grow that momentum. This is 2 weeks straight of YouTube lives, and I can't say quite yet that they feel like there's a better flow yet. It's just going to the theme of today. Just start. Your action is going to build confidence. Your thinking is not going to build confidence. Your thinking and your old brain are going to keep you in places where it's safe. Where is it safe? Pretty much by doing nothing. It's safe staying in the comfort zone, staying in the area where you're just like, keep making excuses for why you can't do something, or why you can't start over, why it's just easier to be messy than to clean up. That's your old brain. It wants to keep you there. Nothing good, nothing new, nothing fresh, nothing worth living for is going to happen in that bubble of just stay here. No, just start. Starting over. Doesn't matter. It could be your millionth time starting over. Let's say you started running and you bought a new pair of running shoes, you put on your outfit, you went outside, you ran up a mile or half a mile, whatever it is, you ran. Okay. You started it. The next day, it's cold, it's windy, it's raining, and you just do not feel like it. Why? Because it's comfortable inside the home. When you go outside, you have to deal with the inclement weather. You have to push through, and it's just uncomfortable. So you stop. And you put the running shoes in the closet, and you leave them there for a bit. And then another beautiful day comes up, and you're like, I'm going to start running again. Great. Do it. Put the shoes on. Don't think. Your action is going to build your confidence. Your thinking is not building anything at this moment. You're overthinking. You're in analysis paralysis, or you're even going through all the scenarios. I started this. I stopped. Maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe I should pivot. Like, you're just going to think yourself crazy. Stop overthinking and start taking action. You don't need a new plan. And maybe you do need a new plan. But what you're going to be able to build upon this morning or any day is proof. The biggest proof that I could give for myself for the past month is that I showed up. I took action. It was messy. It was uncomfortable. It was just icky. But I followed through every single day. So I grapple with the just start idea, because if you're truly going through a messy time in life, right? If you're going through a divorce, or you're recently divorced, if your kids are graduating and leaving the house, and you're going to be an empty nester, maybe you're divorced, single mom, empty nester, like you're just placing the layers of messes on top of one another. People saying, like, just get on here and just start, just press the button, just go live, just start the business. I would venture to say against all of the things that I just told you to go do, which is to just start, to take action, to take messy action. I would go as far to say, if you don't have a plan, or you don't have accountability, or you don't have a community that can support you through the sticky pieces, the messy pieces, like the taste testing. I'm going back to proof of the pudding, because I really like that idea of you do need proof that you can follow through on something. What does that give you? Well, it gives you confidence. It gives you momentum. It gives you something to keep building on. Does that make any sense? Or have I just been so scattered this morning that it's just messy? Restarting, or starting at ground zero, or starting over, is probably one of the hardest things to do. Why? Because it's pushing your brain outside of its comfort zone. Your brain wants to stay in the safety, in the comfort, in the warmth. You have to learn all new skills, and you have to do it messy, and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. It's not like big failures, but you've already been through enough of the mess and the chaos. And I get it. You want safety feels better because you've been through enough. Like, enough is enough. I can't take anymore. I don't want to put myself out there. But you do want the financial rewards of building your own business. You do want the time freedom of building a business. You do want to meet new people and have new circles and learn new things. How are you going to get to the things you want that are over here when you're over here? It's starting. It's as simple as starting. Create a plan and create a structure that works for you. Anchor yourself to a really strong why. Why are you starting? Now, I'm not talking about the why did the messes happen to you. We're done with all that. Because a lot of that you're never going to know. Why? Why did it happen to you? There were lessons in those messes, and those lessons that you didn't really want, that you were forced through, right? Like, so I didn't, you don't want your marriage to end, but there's a lesson in starting over. There's a lesson in rebuilding your life. And I know you're tired of the lessons. Okay. So you're not going to know the why. Why did it happen? Why did your marriage crumble? Why did you lose your job? You're not going to know the why. We move on from them, and then we start something new and we create the momentum around it. You don't need a new plan. You need something that you can follow through on. Stop overthinking. And the minute you stop overthinking and start building, you're going to have it's the snowball, right? You're going to have a momentum that builds and gets bigger and bigger. And it's not going to be pretty. Look at my lives. They're not pretty. They're pretty messy. You're going to be more confident. And confident. When you've been through a life-altering mess, confidence is so key. You have to be active to get through that mess, to rebuild through the mess. So how do you do this? Okay. How do you do this without, because I do grapple with the just start is bad advice, even though I've just given it. Because you do need help in knowing, help with guidance. You need guidance. You need to make sure you love yourself. And I'm not saying that because it's cliche. It is so true. If you've been through something so gut-wrenching that has taken you down, divorce, job loss, lost a person, lost a pet, like if you've really had a major personal, professional, emotional setback, mess, you have to love yourself. You have to fill yourself up with love so it can spill over. You have to take active steps. It's all in the start, the restart. And you have to have a perspective shift. A perspective shift. What the heck are you talking about now? I mean, you've just been all over the place. Yes. Okay. You have to set small, achievable goals. Take immediate small actions, and that will create your momentum. Look at failure not as what it is. Look at it as a learning experience, and focus on the keep going. Focus on the keep going. I want to talk about this idea of perspective shift, because that's what came up for me yesterday. So every day I kind of tell you about what I wrote about the previous day. And it really hit me when I read something about a shift. So we've been talking about identities, right? Like, who am I? This requires an identity shift. Who you think you are, who you thought you were, all the I am statements that you were attaching yourself to. Because in that avoidance, in the avoiding of doing things, you started to become a different identity. You started to become identifying as somebody stuck in the messy middle, identifying as somebody who doesn't follow through. To shift your identity to somebody who does follow through. And in order to follow through, you have to start, and you have to start messy. So I wrote to myself, maybe we have to sit in the shift. Not the dirty word. Sit in the shift. Because maybe the shifting is so subtle. The small shifts pick up momentum. The small pebbles on the bottom of the stream, when the current comes through, when the water is bubbling over those pebbles, the water takes the pebbles downstream. The small shifts, the small pebbles start to move. You're having this power struggle between movement and stillness. Maybe the movement doesn't have to be grand. Maybe you're in the need to rest, but do more. Right? How do you rest but do more? How do you change and grow but sit in the shift? Only you can answer those. I feel that is complete. Thank you for joining me, as always, on the Messie Missy world, in my Messie Missy world. We live in it, we change it, and we show up just by starting. And if you're just tired of starting every single day, I get that. The only way to change the feeling of starting over every single day is by following through actions every single day. If you make promises that you can't keep, don't make the promises. The most important thing about all of this is the promises you make to yourself and the promises you make to your kids and your spouse if you have one. If you promised yourself, if you were to write down your promises, those are heartfelt, gut-wrenching promises. if you sit in the shift and you write your promises on paper, pen to paper, and you start to notice what you've promised and what promises you broke, what promises you couldn't keep, what promises you make to yourself that you're absolutely going to follow through on, that's where you start. That's your starting point. That's your starting over. That's your restart. That's your jump start. That's your shifting point. I promised myself I would keep going on this business this year. I promised myself I would get out of debt. I promised myself I would resign from corporate and jump into my business. Those promises that you make to yourself, if you've broken them, they're no longer valid. If you recognize what you've broken, the promises you've broken to yourself, to other people, to loved ones, sit with that. Shift those to promises that you're going to keep. Start with those promises. Build action plans around keeping your promises. And if they feel too big, if it's like, I promise I'm going to have a multi-million-dollar company by 2028, whittle that way down to, I promise I'm going to restart my business today or Monday, whatever day. I promise, and shift in the promises. Take action, start with the small things, build the momentum. Maybe you need a new plan. Maybe you don't need a new plan. Maybe you just need to follow through on the promises, on the things you said you're going to do. And now that is complete. Join me every morning, same time, same place, 7:30 a.m. This is Messie Missy's world. We're building beautiful businesses and building beautiful lives through our messes.